how true is this story regarding Meghan and Harry being kept away from Our Gracious Majesty the Queen? And more importantly, by who? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Thank you so much for your company today. As ever, nice to see you. Thank you also for your kind comments about meeting Michelle Dockery, the star of Downton Abbey. We've got something else coming up for you very soon regarding Downton. I know there are lots of fans out there, including me. I love the show. But I think, it's funny, isn't it? People say, what do you like about it? But if I'm honest, I think if I was living in that period, I think I might have been like a footman, polishing all the shoes or something like that overnight. Aspiring, of course, to be Lord Grantham, as we all do, but sadly, probably down there. My favourite upstairs, downstairs character, by the way, was, I don't know if you remember, Ruby, the under-house parlour maid. Ooh, the way Mrs. Bridges treated her. Terrible. But I always resonated with Ruby. I thought that'd be my role if I was living in that era. Back as ever though to your breaking royal story of the day. Now, I don't know if you've read this story or seen this story or heard it across, all the media, but this really all centres upon a journalist's account of how, get this, Meghan and Harry really struggled to get in front of Her Majesty the Queen. And it's interesting, isn't it, because they go to account in great detail how certain individuals, particularly Her Majesty's personal secretary, Sir Edward Young, alongside Her Majesty's personal dresser, Angela Kelly, both conspired to keep away, allegedly, as ever we have to say, Harry and Meghan from having a one-to-one with the Queen. I would have thought after that bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey that would have been enough, but seemingly not. Now, it's interesting with these particular journalists because obviously we're not going to name them. That's what they want. They want publicity and, as ever, some attention. Moving forward, let me explain exactly how this works, because clearly this particular individual doesn't have a grip on how royal life operates. Now, Her Majesty the Queen's diary is planned well in advance, virtually every minute of the day. She knows exactly what she's going to be doing. In the downtime, even that really has to be accounted for because obviously she has close protection. And for those that say, oh no, not every minute, trust me, if you look at the intruder that she recently had to encounter almost at Windsor Castle at Christmas, you can understand how difficult it is for Her Majesty the Queen to spend any time alone. This particular individual claims that, well, Sophie and Edward pop in and Prince Charles, there are long periods when she's alone. No, there are not. Trust me, they're simply not. But moving forward, the story becomes even more ludicrous because when you think about it, I've been lucky enough to meet Angela Kelly, a wonderful lady, a Liverpudlian lady, a bit of a scouser, very cheeky. She was incredibly welcoming to Meghan Markle, whatever reports you read. And if there were certain situations where she couldn't deal with certain things, that was on the instruction of Her Majesty the Queen. That is her boss. And it's the same for Sir Edward Young, He will have been working on instructions from Her Majesty the Queen. So to say that Harry and Meghan were kept away from Her Majesty on the instructions of these people and other people that people have referred to as the men in grey suits is simply ludicrous. As ever though, what you do find with these stories is it creates more drama, more problem, and as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle know, it's very difficult in that situation for Her Majesty or indeed the staff around her to comment and fire back. Simply they have more class. Because it's such a ridiculous story in itself, they wouldn't bother to contend this either. But when you look at these stories, they get traction and create even more drama on a particularly difficult time for Her Majesty with her mobility issues and trying to focus on, of course, her Platinum Jubilee celebrations. As I say, this particular individual has done their very best to highlight negative things about the British monarchy, including the recent tour of Sophie and Edward, which, by the way, is doing incredibly well, and we'll bring you some updates on that very shortly. Happy to clear it up. If you need any more info as ever, just stay tuned here on this channel. We will always bring you impartial news, but more importantly, the truth. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.